Hey, my name's Andrew Werley. Thank you so much for taking a moment to watch this video to see what it is we're talking about at Anchorway Church right now. We are still in our series called The Sermons of Jesus, but we are in part 2, but we have not changed sermons. Jesus is still preaching the very famous Sermon on the Mount, and he has moved, however, into a new section. Chapter 5 deals with the tradition of the religious people at the time, and so Jesus uses a phrase over and over and over again, talking about things that we have heard said or you have heard it said, and he takes these traditions that have twisted the intent of the law and restores the law of God to God's people, and then we are to follow those commands. With chapter 6, he changes to another phrase that he's going to use over and over and over again. And it goes like this: when you blank, I'll tell you what the blank is in a second. When you blank, do not be like the hypocrites. And we'll see that thread run through the next several verses for the next several weeks as we look at chapter 6 in the book of Matthew, Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. What he says here is three things: when you give, when you pray, and when you fast. When you do these three things, don't be like the hypocrites. Now, the reason he's talking about these three things is because fasting, praying, and giving are part of these spiritual disciplines that bring us closer to Jesus and closer to God. And when we do these things with the wrong intent, when we do these things with the wrong heart, they have a negative effect on our lives like they did on the religious people at the time. As a matter of fact, we have made the same mistake in our culture. We have taken these things, giving, praying, and fasting, for those who still do, and have almost made them religious in saying that you have to give a certain amount or you have to pray a certain amount of time. We've made them religious things when Jesus never intended for those things to be religious. They are relational in their nature. And so we are going to look at these three practices and how they affect our lives spiritually. And they're not unlike this stream I'm standing behind now. It is breaking free from the bonds of winter. I don't really know where I am, but I know where this stream starts, and I know where it ends. And this stream starts up at what we call Fish Creek Falls. I guess this is Fish Creek. And it is a waterfall with another waterfall above it. And it all begins from a source, and that source is snow. And it forms this creek, which is like a river. For me, it's huge. And it goes all the way down to the Yampa River. And that Yampa River feeds all kinds of things from Colorado and beyond. So it's amazing what this river, this creek does. And where, though, however, I want to point to is where it draws its strength from, where it draws its water from, and that is snow. It gets its source from snow. Its source comes from above. If this river is going to continue to flow, it must gather its source from above. If for some reason it stops snowing, which it won't, but if it did stop snowing, it would no longer flow. It needs something from above to make it go. And the same is true for our spiritual lives. We are called streams of living water to flow out of us. We are supposed to move with God. We should be flowing. And our power and our strength to flow comes from above. And we must position ourselves to draw from that, to draw from the Lord and to draw from His strength so that we too can flow like this river and water and provide nourishment to people and things all around us. And that's really what this series is all about, is positioning our hearts in such a way that we're able to hear from God, to be close to God, to draw near to God, so that we can fulfill what Jesus has asked us to do in Matthew 5, and we can too flow like this river. Thanks for listening. I hope you will join us for this very important series, and I hope you also will be encouraged by it.